Here for the picks and preview show for Southern Miss South Alabama on Saturday. The line has moved towards South Alabama, 1.5 point underdog to the Golden Eagles for a 2:30 kickoff out there in Mobile, Alabama. I almost said Monroe, but we're already through with ULM. So, you know, 1.5 point underdog are the Jaguars to Southern Miss. Trivia question for you, Glenn, before we get started. Can you name the Sun Belt teams that Southern Miss has never beaten?
Oh gosh, I think there's one maybe relatively close to Hattiesburg that we may be, visiting real soon.
Yeah. How many do you think Southern Miss has never beaten?
Sunbelt teams never beaten. Maybe God, I don't think we've beaten Coastal, have we?
So it's four. It's Coastal Carolina, Georgia State,
Oh God, I remember
South
Georgia.
Alabama, and I just had the other one. My goodness, my thing came away. But regardless about, whatever it is, those three losses in the Sun Belt between those teams all came since Southern Miss has joined the Sun Belt. South Alabama is a little bit different because South Alabama has had Southern Miss's numbers for since 2020 when Jay Hobson was basically let go right after that home loss to South Alabama. So this team has had Southern Miss's number for the past several years. So it's going to be, an interesting dynamic to the game, Glenn, that I think that some people might have forgotten that Southern Miss has never beaten South Alabama. And James Madison is the other one. So Coastal, James Madison, South Alabama, and Georgia State are the four Southern Belt teams that Southern Miss has never beaten.
We need to get the monkey off our back this weekend.
All right, so let's talk it through. Obviously, the biggest news is on Braylon Braxton's status. Sources are telling us that Braylon Braxton did practice this week, and that he's at least trending to play, which would be big news for the Golden Eagles, Glenn.
Yeah, it would be huge. I mean, I've ran scenarios through my head all day trying to figure out, kind of run scores in my head and how it'd play out. I mean, and 85%, 90% Braxton plays, Southern Miss wins. If it's no disrespect to Liddy, but Southern Miss will lose a close game in my mind.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I don't know necessarily I'd pick Southern Miss to lose against South Alabama with Liddy, but I think that with Braxton, the one thing that he has outside of his talent that is obviously, he's a little bit more talented. He's probably way more talented than Liddy. But the one thing that he element that he has that Liddy just can't have is he's such a leadership presence on the team. And you saw that even Huff said it after the game. We talked about it on Tuesday, Glenn. There was something different about the team when he wasn't out there. And I think even if he was 90, 95%, I still think they put him out there just for that reason alone.
Yeah, I mean, and two, I'm not sure how functional he'll be, but his ability to run with the football, do things with his legs, completely changes the way a defensive coordinator has to play him. He has to if Braxton's playing and he can run, has that threat, you those run fits are wider, the linebackers are slower to trigger, the RPO game picks up elements that helps it be successful. Defensive coordinator has to defend the entire field. Last week they didn't really have to do that. They just screwed down, shut the run game down, and just muddied the passing lanes for Liddy. And once they shut the run game down, it was a tough deal at that point. That I don't think that necessarily happens with a healthy Braxton in there.
For sure. When you look at South Alabama's defense, Glenn, this is a defense that's played pretty well throughout the season. They rank third in the Sun Belt, giving up 359 yards per game. One thing that I thought was interesting, Glenn, is they rank near the bottom in rushing defense, 181 yards per game for them. So teams have been able to run the ball against South Alabama, and for Southern Miss's offense to work, I think it has to run the ball, and that's just not something we've seen over the past few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, and coach, harped on that Tuesday. I mean, he said we've won games in the past where we did not run the football and it didn't come back to bite us. Last week we desperately had to be able to run the football to help protect Landry Liddy a little bit. Obviously couldn't do it. Yeah, they need it for going forward. I mean, Captain Obvious. They need to be able to run the football. They don't have to get 200 yards a game, but they need to be efficient enough to, move the chain, sustain drives, and make life a little easier for a quarterback.
For sure. On the other side of the ball, the South Alabama offense ranks near the bottom of the Sun Belt, 375 yards per game. That's ninth in the Sun Belt. They don't really threaten you in the downfield shots. The quarterback is more of a pocket passer and a lot of screen game. He was. we- I was talking to Craig Stevenson, who runs, who covers South Alabama today, and he was talking about that it looks a lot like Texas's offense because um, Sarkisian and the head coach at South Alabama, always forget his
Major
name.
Applewhite.
Yes, thank you,
One of
Applewhite.
my faves, by the way. I've
Yes,
always
no, yeah,
admired him.
yeah. I remember talking to him at Sunbelt Media Day. He was a really great guy. Um, they run the offense a lot like Texas, quick screen game, want to run the football. And from what we've seen last week, Glyn, Southern Miss's defense has some questions going into this game, I think.
Yeah, they need to rebound and recoup. Texas State, pulled a little something different on them. They decided to flip the script. They're usually 60-40 pass. They flipped it, and then in that regard, run heavy, and they went with big heavy run packages. And it was a tough day up front. Once they got the lead, they didn't have to throw the ball anymore. They just stayed in that heavy set and continued to pound the football down our throat. So
Did you know that Southern Miss ranks like 93rd in the country in total defense? That was kind of a surprising number to me that they're that far down on the defensive side of the football.
yeah, they've lived off making teams kick field goals at times when in the red zone, and obviously the interceptions, fumbles, ability to get turnovers is just you can't even. It's humongous. So I mean, you saw last week what happened when we didn't get any turnovers. So I mean, this week it's they need to get some sort of action in that regard. Give the offense some short field. Take away some of the positivity and the momentum of the South Alabama offense as well.
I feel like the game plan for South Alabama here is going to be, you know, keep the ball, run down the clock, put themselves in a position to win a low scoring game. I think it's going to be a very similar game to that Louisiana game where Southern Miss went down there and had to kind of grind it out. They won eventually 22-10. I think you could see something similar to that. But I really think that I just don't know if I trust South Alabama's offense to consistently move the football on Southern Miss's defense, even with the defensive questions that Texas State gave us. I don't know. I just expect the defense to kind of bounce back and the offense with Braylon hopefully out there, even with Liddy out there, I think it's going to be better than last week. I don't know. This team just generally to me responds well, and we've seen that throughout the season. After the Louisiana Tech loss, they responded well.
Yeah,
After the
good
state loss,
point.
they even responded well. I mean, this is a team that's responded well and prepared well after a loss like that. But it was such a like a like a kind of like a what was that loss? That I still
Right.
think there might be some repercussions there, but I expect a prepared team in Mobile on Saturday and one that looks a lot different than we saw at the Rock last week.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it's interesting too that, Coach Huff wasn't here last year and a large majority of the starters weren't here last year, but he still pushed the narrative that, regardless of whether you're here or not, this university's never beaten this university. You belong to this university now. You bleed black and gold. So you're responsible to right that wrong. And it seems the kids, I mean, it's been up on billboards in the stadium. He's had it up on the scoreboard during practice, the disparity in the win-loss column versus South Alabama. So, I mean, if he's looking for some sort of, you know, jolt to give them a little energy and a little inspiration, I mean, that's one of them. He's pushed it all week long, as a matter of pride.
The last time Southern Miss was in Mobile, it was one of the worst conference losses in school history.
Yeah,
Um,
they
and I,
they were they were beaten before they stepped off the bus.
Yeah. And I was obviously at that game, and that to me was probably the lowest point that I think I had seen Southern Miss in a long time. Last season, 35-14, of course, 55-3 in the game I was talking about, 27-20 South Alabama in 2022. So that was that game where Southern Miss was trying to clinch bowl eligibility, and they had them at home, and South Alabama just made a play at the end of the game and one that kind of stole that game from Southern Miss. 31-7, which was Will Hall's first game in 2021 down there in Mobile, and then 32-21, which was Jay Hobson's last game, and that was in the COVID season. So lopsided games. I mean, outside of the 2022 game, South Alabama has really rolled Southern Miss in every single game.
Yeah, I mean, it's been contests where they've completely outplayed us in most of those games in every aspect, you know. So, hats off to these guys.
For sure. One thing I want to talk about before we get to our picks and bold predictions was there's something different about Southern Miss South Alabama just because of the recruiting pool that those two schools have in this, and they recruit basically the same. You know, interstate, everything is very similar, South Alabama and Southern Miss. Winning this game, I feel like we talk about it every year, every time these teams play. Winning this game for Southern Miss would be big, obviously, but it just seems like to me losing it would be worse than winning it. I don't know if that even makes sense,
Yeah,
but you know what
and
I'm saying?
yeah, in the past the recruiting thing was humongous. Not so much now. Coach Huff, I mean, they just got a commitment this week from a kid from Miami.
Florida,
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I mean, their recruiting footprint is much larger than it's been in the past, and he's not, to this point, has not relied so much on Mississippi talent or the coastal areas of Alabama as well. He just kind of cherry picks those areas, and he's got coaches with connections, on the Eastern Seaboard, down in Miami for sure. Telly Lockett, our running back coach, is a coaching legend from down there in high school football in Miami. He's always pulled guys to wherever school he was at, particularly at Marshall, pull Miami kids to Marshall that ended up being stars for them.
for sure. Well, it's going to be interesting down there in Mobile, 2:30 kickoff on ESPN Plus. Southern Miss with a win against South Alabama and a Troy loss to Georgia State would clinch the West. Probably not going to happen. So Troy and Southern Miss still looking like a potential West Division championship next week at the Rock. Glenn, let's hear your bold prediction for for Saturday's game against the Jaguars.
I think Southern Miss will right the way in the running game. I think I feel like they'll be able, with a collective of those 3 and 4 running backs, approach 200 yards and take a lot of pressure off the quarterback in the run game. And I think in the play action game, if the run game gets going, either one of our slots, I've noticed now that over the last few weeks, they're playing, two by two sets with both slots on the field at the same time. And those two guys are the most dangerous guys on the field, and Doc Chapman and Elijah Medcalf. I think our slots will have big games down the seams.
Okay, so the bold prediction was the slots having big games, and you got to get
Approach-
specific, Glenn.
Approaching 200 yards running. That was my
Okay.
big one. That's pretty
200
big
yards rushing. There
considering
you go.
what we did last week and weeks prior. So
Right. 200 yards
was I
rushing.
bold?
Okay, 200
I'm
yards
just not a
rushing.
bold guy, Dima.
Hey, you're bold at food. You know,
Oh,
you've
I
been
am.
great.
That's my competitive eating career is I'm right on the precipice.
We've always talked about when we have enough money to retire, we're going to start a food podcast and, having the money to retire. I'm a long way from that, Glenn. I mean, I guess you're probably,
Yeah,
you're,
retirement's with this economy, retirement's not in my future. Oh,
oh, goodness. Okay. Well, all we have to do is be a college football coach and then, get
no doubt.
fired.
And you walk away with millions. What were we
Go.
thinking?
I know. We chose the total wrong profession. All right, my bold prediction is going to be on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're going to bounce back in a big way. I think South Alabama is susceptible to potentially a long day on offense just because I just don't think they've seen a defense like this. And when they have seen a defense with the playmakers around Southern Miss and the chance for them to respond, because they're going to be hungry to respond from last week's showing. So I have two defensive touchdowns for Southern Miss in some way or fashion. Two defensive touchdowns for Southern Miss against the Jaguars. That's my
And
bold prediction.
this crew will be, if I'm a DC, I mean, scheming up Texas State's a nightmare,
Yeah.
because of the speed they have and the size they have up front. This is a little easier chore for a defensive coordinator to come up with a call sheet on.
For sure. All right, let's pick the game. Southern Miss at South Alabama, of course, 1.5 point South Alabama favorite. The over-under is 53.5. What is your game score? Glenn Dyer, 247 Sports, football expert.
I got 27-24. Southern Miss gets the monkey off their back.
Okay, so you think this is going to be close?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I was really having trouble with this game because it's like 2 weeks ago I thought Southern Miss was going to win like 45-10. Like, if I had to pick that score like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'd think 45-10 or something. I'm honestly shocked by this line at 1.5. Even with Liddy playing, I don't know. It's just a shocking line to me. Um, I, I don't know. Every time I've seen South Alabama play, they just look awful.
Spit
I
it
just
out, brother.
I don't know if I just trust them to score. So I in my head this is what I had. And again, this might be like I'm not a homer to Southern Miss. I've never have been. I've covered
No,
them fairly. So if I when I say this, I don't want, South Alabama fans to clip this and be like,
oh,
Homer, Dima Mixon.
you're
Oh.
gonna be a meme, bro.
All right, so I have 34-13 Southern Miss over South Alabama. I just think this is one of those games where Southern Miss just kind of rolls them, and it's not really particularly close in any regard. I just don't know how South Alabama runs their offense, and do I really trust them to like put up several drives against the defense? And not really, and especially if Braylon Braxton's going to play. Or do we really think South Alabama's going to like stop Southern Miss? Like I don't think so. So I have 34-13, and I think this is one of those games in the third quarter or something. It's like 34-6 or something like that, and they pull all the starters and get them ready for next week. So that's my line. I don't know, Glenn. I would probably hammer the 1.5. I don't know. I'm not a betting man, but I don't know. That just one and a
Yeah,
half is
we're
so
seeing this
low.
totally different. This is interesting. We're usually right on the same page together. This should be
I
good.
know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. I mean, you're probably more right than me. I just don't
No,
see it. I don't see South Alabama staying in this game. So 34-13 for me, 27-24 for Glenn. So if you're in Glenn's shoes, it's a nail biter. If you're in my shoes, you can go ahead and start thinking about the Trojans next weekend in Hattiesburg. But I will be there in Mobile for the game with your post games reactions on the field. Just me. Glenn's taking the weekend off, gonna chill out, go figure out his food stuff and all that
I got
good.
to get ready for Thanksgiving, man. It's a big
Right.
deal.
What's your Thanksgiving dish of choice?
I shall be smoking a turkey with
Okay.
pecan wood and just an sundry of juicy casseroles to surround the turkey with.
Have you ever had shoe peg corn before?
No, I have not, but I know a good dude who likes it.
There is a good dude who likes that. All right. We will see y'all next Tuesday, I guess, after Charles Huff's interviews, and we'll be there for that, both of us. But you'll see me on the field Saturday at Mobile. Safe travels if you're making the trip. Thanks always for watching. Go follow Glyn Dyer 247 Sports. Read all of his great coverage there. It's just terrific stuff. He does such a great job covering the team. You can
Thank you,
follow all
brother.
of my coverage at the Pine Belt News, HubCitySpokes.com. We will see you on Saturday. Have a good day.